crash of Flight 990. Why did this 767 dive out of the sky? Tonight, a desperate search and rescue mission takes a grim turn.
It is in everyone's best interest to no longer expect that we will find survivors in this case.
The latest on the investigation and new clues. Plus, the FBI, who they're talking to, what questions they're asking. And the families, their shock, their grief, the stories of loved ones who lost their lives in this catastrophe. And Walter Payton, the greatest of the NFL runners, dies. He could not get a liver transplant in time.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. It's a beautiful part of the world. The waters off the northeastern coast of North America, but deadly as well. In the past 4 years, there have been 4 high-profile airplane crashes and no survivors. TWA Flight 800, Swiss Air 111, and John F. Kennedy Jr. The latest, Egypt Air Flight 990, killed 217 people, including 106 Americans. And tonight, we'll explore these questions. What, if any, clues do they have to the cause of that crash? What were the final moments like? Has terrorism been ruled out? The plane dove straight into the Atlantic, not too far from where John F. Kennedy Jr.'s plane crashed. We begin with NBC's Robert Hager tonight on the search operation. Robert?
Tom, the searchers here have sadly given up hope that there could be any survivors out there now, but they have heard a pinging noise coming from one or more of the plane's black boxes or recorders down in 250 feet of water. This, as work here is barely beginning 60 miles out there in the Atlantic. Coast Guard helicopters, planes, and a half-dozen vessels scour the area again today. But Admiral Richard Larrabee says in cold 58-degree water, there's no longer any chance anyone could still be alive.
We believe at this point that it is in everyone's best interest to no longer expect that we will find survivors in this case.
The Coast Guard says one very large piece of wreckage has been recovered, floating on top, but can't say what it is. Otherwise, only small pieces found. As for hearing the pinging noise of the plane's recorders underwater, NTSB Chairman James Hall says searchers must await the arrival of more equipment before going after it.
But it will be 36 to 48 hours before that equipment will be in position to see if we can locate the source of that ping.
80 relatives of victims arrive in Rhode Island today, and another 100 relatives expected soon. 106 of those killed on the plane were Americans. Another 30 were Egyptian military officers. This is video of the very plane that crashed, taken last year at Kennedy Airport. Today it was learned other 767s like it have experienced some electrical problems in the past, and at least one had to make an emergency landing. Another 767 crashed in Thailand 8 years ago after its thrust reversers deployed in flight. It was the last one off the production line just before the Egypt airplane in the late 1980s. But the most significant news here so far is the radar, which indicates a dramatic fall from the sky at a rate 12 times faster than a normal descent. And the radar blips indicate the plane may have had electric power for at least some of that descent, meaning its recorders may have been running. The flight data recorder could provide vital information about precisely how the plane banked over into its fall, or detect increased pressure if there was an explosion inside the plane, or decreased pressure if there was a sudden structural failure that broke the plane open. Former investigator Jim Danaher.
A whole host of information of that sort, which enables you to reconstruct the flight situation as it existed and as it progressed.
The cockpit voice recorder could pick up anything the pilot said about what went on, or pick up noises. And in this NTSB laboratory, analysts can sometimes tell just what caused such a noise. But finding the recorders could still take time. In the case of TWA 800, it took 8 days. And once found, the recorders still may not yield significant information. If not, investigators will have to depend on hauling up much of the wreckage, a long, expensive, time-consuming job. Working in water 100 feet deeper than this, where TWA 800 was found, or deeper than the wreckage of JFK Jr.'s plane, or Swiss Air 111. Difficult, but it has been done. 14 years ago, Investigators managed to find what was left of a terrorist-bombed Air India plane well over a mile down in the ocean. Investigators have secured a hangar here in Rhode Island, a place to bring the wreckage now and set up a morgue. But the main message they have for everyone here tonight is not to expect answers soon, that this could take a very long time. Tom?
NBC's Robert Hager tonight. Thanks very much, Bob. What do we know about the final moments about that terrifying dive at a high rate of speed with no word of warning? NBC's chief medical correspondent Bob Arnott is a veteran pilot, and he's familiar with that area.
Expert crash investigators say there are three primary areas to consider. The first is that of massive mechanical malfunction, such as the catastrophic failure of an engine or the deployment of a thrust reverser in flight. That's what caused another 767 to crash. Here's what happens. Ordinarily, there's a tremendous amount of thrust coming out of the back of an aircraft jet engine. However, should this, a thrust reverser, deploy in flight, all of that thrust is now going forward. That can cause a jet then to skid and roll in flight, causing an almost instantaneous loss of control. The second area is the unlikely possibility of pilot-induced error. Say there was a depressurization, and the pilots were pressing the airplane towards the ground, but forgot to deploy the speed brakes, or hadn't taken the throttle and brought it back to flight idle, or there was a dangerous situation that they simply failed to recover from, such as an airplane that had rolled over onto its back and had begun to fall towards the ground. The third area is that of a possible explosion, such as one in a fuel tank or an engine, or even from a bomb. But that explosion would have to be in exactly the right place. That's because of the eerie possibility that both engines continue to operate and cause the airplane to accelerate to a phenomenal vertical descent rate of 23,000 feet per minute. We're at exactly 19,000 feet, which is where the last electrical traces of the airplane were seen. That may be because the airplane had begun to come apart. We returned from overflying the debris field right about dusk, Tom, and what we saw were 5 vessels all ringing a relatively small area. And that fits very nicely with what the NTSB told us, and that is that they found a large section of airplane. Tom?
Thanks very much, Dr. Bob Arnott, tonight. Since Egypt has been the target of several deadly terrorist attacks by radical Muslims, the crash of this Egyptian airliner immediately set off some alarms. We have 2 reports tonight. We'll begin with NBC's Pete Williams on the role of the FBI.
At airports on both coasts, over 200 FBI agents, joined by an army of agents from ATF and local police, concentrate today on interviewing anyone who even came near the Egypt airplane before the crash, asking if members of any airplane ground crews like these saw anything suspicious.
You have to get on it immediately while people's recollections are fresh, while there has been no opportunity for people to be influenced by hearing other people's versions of events.
Hundreds of interviews at 3 U.S. airports. Newark, New Jersey, where the plane sat for 2.5 hours Saturday morning. Los Angeles, where the flight from Cairo ended and the flight back began Saturday afternoon, taking on passengers, baggage, and other supplies. And New York, where the plane stopped for more passengers and baggage, the last stop before the crash. So far, officials say that questioning hasn't yielded any clues. The FBI says the interviewing will be just as intense as it was after TWA Flight 800 crashed 3 years ago, when agents interviewed nearly 900 people. Investigators are also conducting background checks of the passenger list. So far, they say no names of anyone with terrorist connections. And FBI agents are out on the Coast Guard ships, ready to help as pieces of the wreckage are recovered. A former FBI official who helped lead the investigation of the TWA crash says the goal is preserving evidence.
They're specially trained with a certain spin on forensics, so they know how to collect, mark, and preserve evidence that is in fact collected from a crime scene.
Crash investigators will have to wait several more days before they can begin scientific analysis of the wreckage for traces of explosive residue. For now, the FBI is working quietly, its on-scene leaders careful to stay in the background, with no evidence so far that the crash was anything but an accident. Pete Williams, NBC News, Washington.
This is Andrea Mitchell. While the president is in Oslo, his national security team, despite any evidence to the contrary, automatically looks at terrorist scenarios.
Nothing has been ruled in, nothing has been ruled out.
Moments after the crash, intelligence agencies start hunting for any possible clue, listening to intercepted conversations.
people are going to look to perhaps extraordinary explanations. Inevitably, given the age in which we live, sabotage is going to cross their mind.
Why would terrorists target Egypt? Egypt's government is cracking down on all terrorists, a tough response to a second assassination attempt against Egypt's President Mubarak just 2 months ago. And Egyptian terrorists also take aim at the U.S. This man, Ali Mohammed, in custody for last year's embassy bombings. 3 others still at large. 3 more Egyptians guilty of blowing up the World Trade Center. And another, the blind sheikh, convicted of plotting to blow up tunnels and bridges in New York City. Could this plane be a target? Possibly, officials say, because 2 years after terrorists killed 58 tourists in Egypt, visitors are finally returning. 2 tour groups were on Egypt Air 990. The plane also carried a military target, at least 30 Egyptian military officers. If an act of terror, who would be likely suspects? Possibly Egypt's al-Jihad, closely tied to the world's most wanted terrorist, Osama bin Laden.
There are very strong links to bin Laden. For the last 2 or 3 years, basically, these Egyptian groups have come totally under the wing of bin Laden.
Is bin Laden capable of doing this? Experts say yes. In fact, one of his disciples is in federal prison, convicted of planning to blow up 11 U.S. jumbo jets in 1995, and actually planting a bomb on a Philippine jet. Most experts believe a terrorist attack is the least likely scenario, but point out it took a week to figure out that terrorists had blown up Pan Am 103, and years more to trace that bomb to Libya. Andrea Mitchell, NBC News at the State Department.
When we come back, NBC News in depth tonight, Flight 990, the lives lost, the memories that will live on.
I can't imagine them ever being apart. They were always, Mary and Edith, their mom and dad, they were always there for us.
Life stories, some of those who perished on Flight 990, those they left behind, the family. That's tonight's In Depth.
So what will happen to all this now that you're going virtual?
We're not going virtual.
Well, I read you're getting into internet trading, online cash management.
Well, we are, yes.
The end of an era.
Not at all. Online trading and the rest of it are simply new tools we're making available.
You don't have to sugarcoat it for me, but I must tell you I'm going to miss our little chats.
Nelson, I'm not going away. The office isn't going away.
The coffee? The ticker?
Not going away.
What about the little bowl?
Not going away.
Good.
Quaker oatmeal is like a lifeguard. It's always there for you. And after we ate it for 30 days, it helped lower our cholesterol 23 points. So you could say it's a real lifesaver.
And it sure is yummy.
Quaker oatmeal warms you heart and soul.
Think Zig. With Katerra's quick, responsive handling, it'll impress you left and right. Now think smart. Take advantage of up to $6,000 in factory-to-dealer cash on a new 99 Katerra. And think about this. With Katerra's 200 horsepower V6, adaptive transmission, and traction control, you wouldn't want a Katerra or this opportunity to pass you by. So see your authorized Cadillac Katerra dealer for a test drive today. Think Zig.
Everyone knows what it's like to be congested, but now there's a new kind of relief. New Afra No Drip nasal spray. Ordinary sprays drip. Afra No Drip targets congestion and stays there for fast, powerful relief. New Afra No Drip.
Nobody does it like you.
Boy, they love to play horsey. So your carpet better be deep down clean. And for that, you need Hoover. Hey, you want the best, partner? Introducing the Hoover Steam Vac Wide Path. It sends hot water surging through 6 rotating brushes to stir up and pull out deep down dirt the way no other carpet cleaner can.
Hoover!
If you want clean, deep down you want Hoover.
When the big story breaks, we don't just get there first, we bring you closer. With Sky 8, the area's most powerful news helicopter. And now Dan Shively, pilot and experienced journalist, Northwest News Channel 8, where the news comes first.
Chris O'Donnell and Gloria Estefan get it live.
Time exclusive tonight.
NBC News in depth tonight. The lives cut short by the crash of Egypt Air Flight 990. 217 people, passengers and crew. There were retirees eager to see the world, military officers heading home after training in the United States, students and businessmen. NBC's Ann Thompson tonight with some of their life stories, the families they left behind, in depth.
I didn't know my keyword.
Today, Frances Brokaw walks into her father's home in Vermont. Inside, the atlas still open to Egypt, where her father Richard and his wife Virginia were going to see the Nile. No relation to NBC's Tom Brokaw, they were newlyweds at 76 and 72. They had just celebrated their first anniversary.
This was a wonderful thing for my dad and for Jenny to find each other and to find happiness again.
Larry and Edith Kowalski married 47 years. In the suburbs of Detroit, they ran a pharmacy and traveled the world, this time flying off with their friends Norm and Joan Shapiro. Larry, a Lithuanian immigrant who escaped the Holocaust that claimed his father and sister. His proudest accomplishment, his four sons say, the family he raised with Edith.
I can't imagine that ever being apart. They were always, Larry and Edith, their mom and dad, they were always there for us and the family, and to be really going to miss them. To be really tough time.
In Rochester, New York, Will Jackson Jr. thinks about the phone call he couldn't take Saturday night from his father, who was just getting on that fatal flight.
He called me from the airport. Unfortunately, I was out preparing for a birthday party for my daughter. And, give me a second, and I missed his call.
More tears at Dunbar High School in Baltimore for the 4 exchange students who spent a week here and with their chaperone were also on the plane.
To the families, your loss is our loss. Your pain is our pain.
Sonia Bellotti was supposed to be on that flight, but her parents begged her to spend another week in New Jersey. Today, she tried to reach her 2 teenage sons in Syria to let them know she is alive. Her brother translates.
Thank God that God gave her a new life. And her parents, she thanked her parents because my mom was praying for her.
This tragedy, international in scope, but 2 countries bear most of the pain. The United States, 106 victims. Egypt, 62. On both sides of the Atlantic, agony tonight. At the airport in Cairo, the grief visible as families prepare to go to the U.S. This woman's 2 daughters, both engaged to pilots on board, in search of a miracle.
And I hope we find them alive.
But with no hope of survivors, in Vermont, Frances Brokaw looks forward now.
As long as I'm alive, they'll be alive.
Alive in memories after a devastating crash. Ann Thompson, NBC News, Chicago.
I'll be right back.
That was a real scare with my overactive bladder. I was going so often. Then bottom of the 9th, suddenly I had to go. But that time, I didn't think I'd make it. That did it. I asked my doctor about Detrol.
Overactive bladder is a medical condition. Today's prescription Detrol is proven effective to treat it. Detrol helps control bladder contractions that cause those sudden urges. Detrol reduced bathroom visits by 2.2 times in 24 hours versus 1.1 times with placebo. 1.2 fewer wedding accidents occurred with Detrol versus 0.8 fewer with placebo. Similar decreases over 24 hours. If you have certain types of stomach, urinary, or glaucoma problems, do not take Detrol. The most common side effect is dry mouth. Some others may include dry eyes, headache, constipation, and indigestion.
7th inning. Need a break?
Not right now. Thanks to Detrol. Ask your doctor about prescription Detrol, proven effective to treat overactive bladder.
Oh, it's awful cold.
Poor baby. He'll be up all night.
Coughing.
Sneezing. No way he'll be up with the chicken.
No cold hands in the morning.
Sorry, girls, but he's getting NyQuil.
You need relief.
So I can rest.
And when he wakes up, he'll be ready to go.
Good morning, ladies.
NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head fever so you can rest and have a good morning, Mason.
Ooh.
Why is it that superheroes never have kids? Does changing diapers get in the way of fighting crime? Or could there be a simpler explanation? Maybe superheroes just have a hard time finding a family sedan that the bad guys won't laugh at. The Mitsubishi Galant, ranked the #1 family sedan under 20 grand by Car and Driver. Battle Evil. Bring the kids.
To find the perfect gift for the coffee lover in your life, Gifts.com tested all kinds of gift ideas.
Great gift.
Great gift.
Great gift.
You buy it?
I buy it.
I'd give it.
You'd give it?
I'd give it.
Not very good.
This would make a nice gift. It'd make a wonderful gift.
Help!
Big gold body, fine full finish. It's a marvelous mocha moment.
Coffee break!
So when you're looking for just the right gift, come to Gifts.com. Tell us about the people you're shopping for, and we'll tell you about some great gifts. Gifts.com. Just the perfect gifts.
Tomorrow on Today, a special series on dieting. Each day, we'll look at a different approach to eating, starting with the latest craze, high protein. Could it work for you? Tomorrow on Today. It's like today, only later. Later today, weekdays on NBC.
On Wall Street today, the first day of the new alignment for the Dow Jones Industrials, with 4 new stocks replacing 4 old standbys. It wasn't a great debut. The blue chips were down more than 81 points today. NASDAQ gained a little more than 1 point. In Austin, Texas today, a bizarre close call for presidential frontrunner George W. Bush while he was out jogging. A truck loaded with construction debris tipped over right next to the jogging path where Bush was getting in a workout. He dove to the ground. He wound up with some bruises and a scratch on his right leg. A spokesman said the governor was in good spirits after being checked out at the scene and headed off to New Hampshire for campaigning. One of the greatest professional players to ever take the field, Walter Payton, died today at his home in Chicago. He was suffering from a rare liver disease, and he was on the list for a transplant, but in the end, there were too many complications, and he lost his battle at the age of 45. The story of a legend. Here's NBC's Jim Avila.
They called him Sweetness because of his moves on the field. But Walter Payton earned that nickname nowhere near football.
He was a very proud, strong man who was a stranger to weakness.
At 5 foot 10 inches tall, an average-sized man with a high-pitched voice, making history running around and through giants.
He was the best football player I've ever seen. And probably one of the best people I've ever met.
In Chicago, his adopted hometown today, sadness and shock. 13 years a Bear, Walter Payton appeared invincible, an incredible physical specimen. To this day, the NFL's all-time leading runner, a record 16,726 yards in his career, 9.5 miles in all, and more yards than anyone in a single game, 275. But suddenly, 10 months ago, Payton began a battle he could not win, with a rare and incurable liver disease.
We're not sure how to stop it, but we do know about the consequences.
In Payton's case, the consequence was cancer. A liver transplant would do no good, and Payton quickly worsened. Last week, he came home to die, surrounded by his family and a reputation as sweet as his name. Jim Avila, NBC News, Chicago.
A lot of people have allergies. I have multi-symptom nasal allergies. It's the sneezing, itchy, runny nose, the nasal congestion. It's all of it. I told my doctor, I've had it. I want an allergy medicine made for my kind of allergies. He prescribed multi-symptom Flonase.
Flonase nasal spray once a day relieves all nasal allergy symptoms all day and night.
All it takes is Flonase.
The #1 prescribed nasal allergy spray. Even kids as young as 4 can use Flonase. For best results, use daily. If side effects occur, they are generally mild and may include headache, nosebleed, or sore throat. Call to learn more. Ask your doctor about multi-symptom Flonase.
When you get it all it takes is Flonase.
Good morning, Mr. Schwab.
Morning.
Introducing Velocity from Schwab, the new incredibly powerful online trading software system. With the power to place multiple orders at one time, it's fast and smart. And, if you'll pardon the expression, cool.
I'm concerned about my cholesterol. Got a bike. Cutting back on junk food. But it's not all that easy. Fortunately, my wife Joy discovered a new spread called Take Control. Take Control is made from natural soybean extract. Studies suggest it helps to lower bad cholesterol up to 10%. And it's delicious.
New Take Control, a weapon to help lower cholesterol. Now available in 3 delicious salad dressings.
Great meal.
Uh-oh, gas pressure. What now? What else? Gas X, with the most powerful medicine for fast relief. Nothing works faster.
Hey, want to go for ice cream?
Gas X, the power to fight gas fast.
Keys are in it.
The Accord V6 Coupe from Honda. It's one powerful car.
This weekend, travel without packing. Join the adventure with National Geographic Explorer this weekend on CNBC.
On a night when our big story is about the death of air travelers, our story here is about the effort to bring new life to ocean travel. The largest cruise ship ever. How big is it? Ask NBC's Kerry Sanders.
Setting sail from the shipyards in Finland, en route to its maiden voyage from home port, Miami. Voyager of the Seas, the biggest cruise ship in the world. 3 years under construction. Royal Caribbean Cruise Line's hoping passengers choose this new Colossus not for where it goes, but for what it is.
This is the most expensive cruise ship ever built.
For $700 million, bigger is better. It's larger than a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, space to fit 5 Goodyear blimps, so wide it cannot fit through the Panama Canal. Room for 5,000 passengers and crew. A floating city, average cruise speed 25 miles per hour. In the bow, a huge theater, more than 1,300 seats, about half the size of Carnegie Hall. A distance of about 3 football fields behind, near the stern, the dining room, remarkably similar to the opulence of the Titanic. And running through the center of the ship, a street of high-end shops with entertainment. On this mega ship, walk all the decks and you'll cover more than 3 miles. Of course, part of the problem with a ship this large, staying in touch with a traveling companion. Travel experts suggest you bring a walkie-talkie and then come up with an obvious rendezvous point, like, meet me at the ice rink. That's right, an ice rink in the Caribbean. But is it too much, too big? It's hard to tell you're even on a ship, warn some travel experts.
The new ships look like high-rise condominiums that somehow fell over and float.
If things go wrong, the ship designed for a full evacuation in 30 minutes. Below decks, 18 refrigerators and freezers, each actually larger than an average New York City apartment. The art of cooking, an exact science. 23,000 meals served a day.
The trick is to have just enough food, but not too much on the ship.
Too much? A temptation. The average passenger gains 6 to 10 pounds on a week-long cruise. So for the new giant of the waves, the new Titanic, it's proof size does matter if you want to lay claim to the title, King of the World. Kerry Sanders, NBC News, Turku, Finland.
That's nightly news for this Monday night. We'll have more on the crash of Egypt Air Flight 990 tonight on Dateline. I'll see you back here tomorrow night.
Nightly News is a presentation of NBC News. More Americans watch NBC News than any other news organization in the world. From KGW, where the news comes first, this is Northwest News Channel 8 at 6.
This fighter jet dropped an explosive payload somewhere near Tillamook. Tonight, searchers hope they find a missing missile and fuel tank before somebody gets hurt. That's our top story. Hello, I'm Tracy Berry.
And I'm Joe Domlin. In tonight for Carol Jensen. That missile and part of a wing and fuel tank dropped off the jet about 20 miles northeast of Tillamook. And tonight, the search is on. It's centering near the Oregon coast. The F-15 fighter jet was forced to make an emergency landing in PDX after this accident. The pilot was not injured, but tonight,